Okay, your menstrual cycle is a direct window into your thyroid health. Did you know this? Because I was just finishing up with a patient earlier today. In fact, just thinking about this and the lack of education that doctors are giving patients these days, it gets me heated. So listen, your health of your thyroid is tied to several different things. But one of those, especially for you ladies out there, is your menstrual cycle. If it is irregular and you are struggling with those irregularities, then it is telling you there could be a thyroid problem, all right? I drew this up here knowing that I wanted to tell you and educate you about how this works, okay? There's two glands up in the brain, the hypothalamus and the pituitary. They work as your central command. They work with your thyroid gland, okay, here, your adrenals, which are right above the kidneys, and we're really not going to talk about that. We talk a lot about that on other videos. Here we want to talk how it relates to your ovaries, okay? How the brain glands communicate with the thyroid and the ovaries, they play together. They're two separate players, but on the same team, working together in concert. And they can get thrown off, all right? So there's two main things we need to talk about, how your cycle can affect your thyroid. Number one, your thyroid produces a couple of different hormones, T4, and then it converts in the liver and kidneys to T3. If T3 drops, okay, if your thyroid is not doing a good job and your T4 is lowering and your T3 is lowering, that creates a negative feedback loop to the hypothalamus, okay? The hypothalamus, in response to these lower thyroid hormones, which your doctor probably hasn't tested, but is just telling you that your thyroid is fine because they only tested TSH, your hypothalamus releases TRH, thyroid releasing hormone, okay? And that TRH, or thyrotropin releasing hormone, thyrotropin releasing hormone is released and tells the pituitary to produce one of two things. TSH is one of them. That tells the thyroid to do its job, make more T4, T3. Pituitary will also make this thing called prolactin. Prolactin is critical for when it's time for your ovaries to release an egg. Okay, that's called ovulation. When the pituitary is triggered to make more prolactin, your ovaries will not release an egg. You will hold on to that egg. And if you don't release an egg, then what happens is your progesterone goes down. You need progesterone to tell your uterus to shed the lining that builds up when you don't have an egg that becomes fertilized. So you release an egg from the ovary, you need progesterone. You don't release an egg from the ovary, you don't need as much progesterone. And that progesterone is in balance, this seesaw balance with estrogen. Okay? So now you have progesterone and estrogen, which are supposed to create this 14-day, 28-day cycle of ovulation and shedding. Ovulation and shedding. And that leads to a normal cycle. And if your cycle is thrown off and irregular, or if it's heavy, or it's not coming but every 6-7 weeks, sometimes months for some of you, this could be the very problem telling you your thyroid is the cause. Okay? And they could be dealing with your cycle. They want to put you on the pill. They want to do different things. They want to put you on spironolactone and try to get this all under control. And it could all be coming from your thyroid. You got to figure this out. The other thing is, there's another thing called sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG. That is also controlled by certain thyroid functioning. And if the thyroid is not functioning correctly, SHBG will go up. Think of SHBG as a chauffeur. You've got your hormones, progesterone and estrogen, and they need to travel around the body. The chauffeur is the SHBG. They say, come on, estrogen, come on, progesterone, let me hold on to you and I'm going to carry you where you need to go. It drives it around essentially. But when sex hormone binding globulin is too high, you have too many chauffeurs and they're all holding on to the estrogen. And when that's the case, there's not enough free estrogen to do its job. You need estrogen or progesterone to uncouple, to get out of the car so it can do its job. If it just stays in the car because there's so many chauffeurs driving it around, it can't get out of the car and do its job. It's just driving around. That is also tied in with your thyroid. So now how do we check for this? We want to check it with testing. Blood work testing looks at TRH. Let me use a different marker here. God, I'm glad I rolled my sleeves up. Get heated in here. TRH. Measured in the blood. TSH, measured in the blood. Prolactin, measure it in the blood. T4, measure it in the blood. T3, you guessed it, measure it in the blood. There's also this brake pedal that can cause T4 to become what's called reverse T3. And that can also affect this issue going on. You can also measure that, yep. T3. And finally, an element that is very important for all kinds of things related to the thyroid, your iodine, and yes, of course, you can measure it in the blood. Has your doctor done that? I would bet no. So here's what we need to do. All right, as a functional medicine doctor, we're not looking at just TSH, your thyroid's fine. And maybe we'll check progesterone and estrogen in blood work. You're fine. We want to actually see how all of these things interact together because they're all playing together on the same team. But one player may not be doing its job. You got to test it to know. That's where functional medicine comes in. This is what we do. This is how we can help you. First and foremost, we got to do some testing. To determine what we need to do for that, we need to actually sit down with you. So here is my offer to you today. Take advantage of this offer because it's free. It's a phone call with us. You get to sit down, tell us what's going on with you. We can also tell you how our office works and answer any questions you might have about what we do. But most importantly, we want to see if you're a good fit for what we do here in our office, okay? If that is the case, we can move forward and start to figure this stuff out. Now, you might be thinking, well, gosh, I live in Tennessee, or I live in Washington, D.C., and we're here in North Carolina. Doesn't matter. We see patients from all over the place, okay? If you have a problem, we can help you. We can send you the tests. We can do virtual appointments. We do this all the time with our patients, so don't worry about that. The most important thing is for you, going to the link at the bottom of this video, sign up for that free call. All right, if you want more information, also in the description to this video, click on that. You can get more information. But the key is get on that call. Let's find out what's going on with you. And if you're a good candidate, let's move forward and finally figure out what's going on with your thyroid. And if your cycle is off and your thyroid is the problem, we can finally get to all of these years of you struggling with irregular periods. We can fix that. Okay? Take advantage today. Look forward to talking to you.